right, it is 7 o'clock, so we will go ahead and call the October 30th meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals to order. I'll go ahead and start by introducing the members of the board to you. Absent tonight is Lori Jackson, but present are Greg Zink, James Moore, Chuck Williams, and I'm Anthony Cyphers. We're also joined by our attorney, Mr. Vissing, and Ronnie from the building department. On behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome everyone to the October 30th meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Everyone who appears before the Board of Zoning Appeals is entitled to a legal right of due process. Therefore, everyone present who wants to will be given an opportunity to speak. If you have not already done so, please sign in if you wish to speak so we can make sure everyone has a chance to be heard. We ask that when you're called upon to speak, that you will first state your name and address for the record. We have 2 public hearings before us this evening, and we're going to follow the same format for each. One additional request there are a lot of people who are going to speak. We will be likely having to impose a limit of 5 minutes per person. Just to help with timeliness, repetition, repeating the same things that may have already been said or stated, especially statement of fact, is redundant, and although everyone does get a chance to speak, if something's already been said a couple times, if you could, just for the sake of time for everyone, please get to the parts of what you'd like to say that haven't been stated. The public hearing, it's held for the purpose of hearing testimony and just that. It's not to be used as a forum for public debate between proponents or opponents of any matter. All comments made must bear relevance to the subject matter at hand. As I said before, we're going to limit things to 5 minutes per speaker. The forum we're going to follow is first the petitioner will come up, present the facts and arguments in support of the case. The board may interject with comments and questions throughout this testimony to clear up some subject matter. After that, we'll go ahead and open public comment where members of the public will have a chance to come up and speak. After the public's been heard, the petitioner will come back up for rebuttal. They'll have a chance to address especially concerns or criticisms of the petition. When we're satisfied that all testimony has been presented and that our obligation to you of due process has been fulfilled, we will close the hearing. At that time, the board will make its decision based on testimony presented, relevant legalities, and is it or is it not in the best interest of the city of Salem and Washington County. At this time, I'd like to hand it over to Mr. Vissing if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Yes, so, again, just not to be repetitive as an example of what we're asking, but, frequently public comment can get redundant on certain issues. So, while again, you'll have the opportunity to be heard, we may hurry you along through what's seen as repetitive comment. It's important to note as well as this is public comment is directed to the board. It's not a question and answer session with the board, and it's also not a question and answer session with the applicant from the members of the public. If you want to have those conversations separately, that's fine, but public comment is comment to the board for consideration. We have 2 different types of variances tonight. One is a developmental standards variance and the other is a use variance. They have slightly different criteria that the board will be evaluating them on. Before we move into, I believe, the first docket item, which is 2025-13, which the applicant is Evan Zinser. This is a developmental standards variance application. Just a note for those in attendance and for the board as well. A developmental standards variance may be approved when the departure from the developmental standards of the zoning ordinance is not contrary to the public interest and due to conditions peculiar to the property and not the result of the actions of the applicant. And literal enforcement of the Salem zoning ordinance would result in unnecessary and undue hardship. Under the Indiana Code, Section 36-7-4, 918.5, a developmental standards may be approved only upon a determination from the Board of Zoning Appeals that The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And lastly, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. And with that, we'll invite up the applicant for docket number 2025-13, Evan Zinser.
Sir, if you could please come up to the podium here. All right, could you please, just for the record, state your name and address?
Yes, my name is Evan Zinser, and 8997 East New Philadelphia Road, Salem, Indiana, 47167.
Thank you. So we've got your application for the developmental standards variance before us, but if it would be all right with you, if you could just maybe go ahead and explain in your own words, what are you seeking? What's the issue at hand here with this property at 406 West Water, or North Water?
Yes, so 406 North Water Street. As you can see in the picture, the house is in need of major repairs. I should have got some pictures inside, I guess, to show you guys as well, but it needs to be torn down. It's not safe. It wouldn't be good for someone to live in, even if you tried to fix it, in my opinion. I've been doing this for 20 years. And for my opinion, from what I've done, it should be torn down, and I'd like to build a new home that then would provide a nice home for someone in our community that isn't have a risk of fire or other issues in homes like this, that everything's old and falling apart and not safe.
So, for clarification though, the need for the variance though is it is infringing on setbacks.
Yes.
It currently does, if I'm correct, the house as it stands infringes on setbacks, but
Yes.
reconstructing it would. Are you planning to follow essentially the same footprint as
So-
the existing house?
Yeah, so if you look at the existing house, we would start right on the left side where that one is, and then go over to the right, and then where the bushes are, the house would come right to the end of the bushes pretty much, and then right to the right of that, we would put on a garage that's the length of the house as well. The issue with this area is there isn't parking on the street, and that's a concern for a lot of people, so that's why we would put on a garage as well. That could hold 2 cars. And then behind the garage, we would also put in a gravel area for parking as well, if someone needed an extra spot. But it would keep people off the street, cars off the street, with that deep 2-car garage. If you look at the one picture that shows, it says 1-car garage, that's a house that I did in Pekin. This is a 2-car garage, but it would be the same house as this one, and then it would go over 10 feet, as I marked on the picture, to show what the new home there would look like. But other than that, it's gonna stay right in the exact same spot within everything besides putting a garage on pretty much,
Okay.
which then solves the issue of parking in that area.
So roughly, in the application here, it says you'll be 2 feet, infringing onto the side setback by 2 feet. Is that inclusive of the garage?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Does anyone have any questions?
I think it's a great fit. I mean, something new in there, and it's been a bad appearance for a long time. So I don't really have any questions. It fits all the setbacks that, utilities and all that stuff's there, everything.
I'm not going to ask you to sit down. Is there anyone in the audience, I'm going to go ahead and open public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make public comment for this hearing? All right, and we'll go ahead and close public comment, and you can just stay up here.
Okay.
Chuck, I think you bring up a good point. It appears that, the way this house lays, if you look at, I had it printed out. If you look at the way it sits right now, it's already infringing upon setbacks, and if you look at a further zoomed out shot, the three adjoining properties also, by
Right.
nature of when they were constructed,
Yes,
when
yes.
this was all set up, things weren't done like they are now.
Right.
I think in looking at the property, it does not really appear that by, you know, it seems like the front setback there with the road is really the bigger infringement. It really doesn't, though, appear that by moving the house back, you would either gain much other than still infringing on the setback while reducing what little
Right.
yard
Right.
the potential homeowner would have. I think is a good point to make there.
It would put it just closer to there's a house right
There's an
behind
adjoint,
it.
yes, there's a
Yeah.
house right back there that's right on the property line.
I think it's 10 feet off the property line
Okay.
in the back.
All right, well, if there's no other question, I would go ahead and entertain a motion on this.
I make a motion to approve 2025-13.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thank you.
appreciate it, sir. Docket number 2025-13 has been approved. All right. Again, just one last time, I think maybe there have been some additional people come. If you would like to speak, please sign in on this sign-in sheet up front. If there's no one else who'd like to speak, Gina, could I bug you to bring that up to me? So we're gonna follow the same format for the second hearing tonight. Before we begin,
Yeah, I'll
Would
run
you
through
touch on
yes, I'll run through this is a request for a use variance. This is docket number 2025-14. The name of the applicant is Lighthouse. It's regarding the property at 202 West Walnut Street. Here, a use variance under the Salem zoning ordinance may be approved when such a use is not contrary to the public interest and due to conditions peculiar to the property, it would not result, it's not the result of actions of the applicant, and literal enforcement of the Salem zoning ordinance would result in unnecessary and undue hardship. Pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-4-918.4, a use variance may be approved by the board only upon a determination that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community, that the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, that the need for the variance arises from some condition peculiar to the property involved. The strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought. And lastly, the approval does not interfere substantially with the city's comprehensive plan. So each of those 5 criteria will need to be met in the judgment of the board in order to grant the use variance. And again, with that, we will open up the floor to the applicant to come up and present their application.
and if you could, just before you begin, please state your name and address.
All right, good evening, everyone. Do I need to wait?
If you don't mind, please wait just a moment. So what we're going to go ahead and do before we begin on this hearing, for the record, the applicant, Lifehouse, has legal representation by a
We did not retain an attorney.
She just asked me to sit by her.
for the purpose of public interest and appearances, Tom Cypher's there sitting with the applicant is my father, so for the remainder of this hearing, I am going to recuse myself. I will go ahead and step out of the room at this time.
Mr. Chairman, we have one matter before the board. Prior to, of course, this filed only about 10 days ago, and we have requested some discovery from the applicant, financial information about the operation, and we have been denied that. As a result of that, we'd like to ask this board to delay this hearing until we can be provided with the financial information necessary to determine if this facility can be operated as planned within their budget.
So that's not something this board is obligated to allow for. Discovery is not part of the process. The applicant makes their application. The public can come in and voice their concerns regarding that application. They can, if you believe that the 5 criteria that I've listed off in the Indiana Code are not satisfied, you can present information and testimony to support that conclusion that you may have. But discovery, this isn't a court proceeding in which you're in litigation and discovery is permitted. This is an application before the Board of Zoning Appeals, so we wouldn't be delaying for that purpose.
We would contend, for purposes of appeal from this hearing, we would contend that without information for this board to know whether there's financial wherewithal or not to support this matter, that you cannot possibly make an informed decision. And that's our contention, and I understand.
That's not a remedy available under the Indiana Code.
Understand.
Okay. All right, so
I
we'll
apologize.
now proceed with the applicant.
Okay. Okay, so I believe my responsibility here is to share with you what Lifehouse is, and then why we need this use variance, and how I believe it's my responsibility as well to share with you why we meet those 5 prongs that are required. So I'm gonna say that our mission at Lifehouse is to be a solution-focused organization to address the needs that exist right here in Washington County. The problems are already here. For years, our community has seen the effect of substance misuse, and not because people want to struggle, but because recovery and stability are not always easy to find. Lifehouse was created as a response to that need, based from research, data, and statistics collected from Salem St. Vincent Hospital, Dispatch in Washington County, and Indiana.gov overdose deaths data. We are a faith-based and evidence-based program. That means our approach is grounded both in compassion and in scientifically validated methods. Our goal is to offer a safe, structured home where individuals in recovery can continue building healthy, self-directed lives that lead to positive outcomes. To explain what a Level 3 recovery residence is, I will share that it is a structured, supervised home for people who are already in recovery from substance use. It is not for those who are actively using drugs or alcohol. Residents are carefully screened and must be sober and agree to follow very strict house rules. This level of housing provides on-site staff supervision and daily structure. Residents attend recovery meetings, maintain employment, and volunteer in our community. They complete chores and follow curfews. There is random drug screening and immediate consequences for rule violations. It is important to understand that Lifehouse is not a halfway house. It is not a detox center, and it is not a homeless shelter. It is a stable, supportive environment designed for safety, accountability, and long-term healing. Sometimes recovery residences are misunderstood, and people associate them with unsupervised group homes or temporary shelters. But those are very different things. Our program is a quiet, well-maintained, drug-free, and operated with the same standards as any other home on this street. Residents live with respect for one another and for the neighborhood around them. Our focus on primary needs is that we recognize that substance misuse is often a secondary issue, not the root cause. Many people struggle because deeper needs like safety, belonging, mental health, or purpose have gone unmet. At Lifehouse, we help residents unpack those primary needs first. By addressing the underlying causes of distress, we create a space for lasting transformation. The truth is, recovery residences, like Lifehouse, make our community safer, not more dangerous. When people in recovery have stable housing and consistent support, they are far less likely to relapse, reoffend, or become unhoused. Programs like ours lower recidivism rates, reduce strain on emergency services, and help individuals become more productive, working members of society. Every dollar invested in recovery housing saves multiple dollars in criminal justice and healthcare costs, but more importantly, it saves lives. The individuals who come to Lifehouse are not strangers. They are our sons and daughters, our neighbors, and our coworkers. They have already made the hardest decision of their lives, to pursue recovery. They want what we all want: safety, purpose, and a chance to live free from addiction in a healthy and meaningful way. So I could go on and on about the great things that Lifehouse will provide our community, but I want to address the points for variance. There are the 5 prongs in our standard that our attorney listed. And for example, that need for variance arises from some condition peculiar to the property involved. I wanted to state that this current property is in a location that is accessible to resources, and we need that. It's very important, it's imperative that our residents are able to access our local resources, and that's what recovery is. It's community collaboration for overall well-being. And I can share more about why the condition peculiar to this property is, it qualifies for this need for variance. I don't know if it's necessary to share that. Will I have another opportunity to speak, or is this?
You will have an additional opportunity to speak on rebuttal
Okay.
after the public has had their opportunity to comment. So
Okay.
feel free to present.
I'm gonna
I
close
would-
with this.
Yeah,
I appreciate
I would
you.
offer as much of your application is
Okay.
again, as if you want the board to consider, and certainly you would want the members of the public to hear
Yes.
in considering your application. So the way that I think about it is make your case
Okay.
now for what you want.
I
The
appreciate it.
rebuttal, you can use that opportunity to address concerns that perhaps folks in the audience may
Okay.
have and raise.
All right, so I will just say this about the points, the prongs in the standard of the variance. I have gone through them, I've gone through them with others, and we meet the criteria for this variance. And we can provide those reasons if necessary. Lastly, I want to say that Indiana standard for recovery residents has multiple domains, and domain 4 is a good neighbor policy. And that policy says a well-run recovery residence is a family in a neighborhood. While new families have no requirement to engage with their new community, good neighbors take on the responsibility. Recovery residence operators are expected to function as good neighbors and pursue positive, respectful outreach. This engagement is reinforced by the social model recovery program domain, community orientation. Modeling good neighbor skills develops these assets for personal recovery capital. The standards in this domain also build on many of the 6 architectural considerations for recovery housing defined in Whitman, 1993. Location, appearance, facility, oversight and security, and care and upkeep. Thank you guys so much.
All right. In light of the chair's recusal this evening, I'll kind of stand in to direct traffic a little bit through the meeting. So what we'll do now is the board will open things up for public comment. If you would like to speak for or against, there was a sign-in sheet that was set out prior to the meeting. We have that up here. We'll run through that in order of folks who have signed in. If you did not make it in here in time to sign up on this list, we will have a sheet that will open opportunities up for any additional speakers who may want to speak, but we'll ask you to sign into the podium. And everyone, we would like you to state your name and address for the record when you approach the podium. So with that, we will invite David Allen.
Mr. Smith, may I defer my comments to later in the proceeding? I know
Sure,
we're-
I'll call you back up at the end. Susan, pardon me if I mispronounce your last name, Susan Sama?
I'm Susan Sammy. My business address is 200 North Water Street, Salem, Indiana. I've been there over 40 years, that address. The first thing I want to say is I'm not fighting their program at all. I definitely agree that we need recovery. So that's not my issue at all. I met with Kelly. I felt like I'm business part of it, and she's compassionate. And I don't know that that's a bad combination, but we weren't seeing eye to eye on the location. I own Six Scoops. It's an ice cream shop that has thrived. We have been open the last 10 years. It's team-based. I have hired over 100 teenagers out of this community. We started Six Scoops with 6 teens. And the teens in this community, which I feel is as important as building our teen foundation, so it helps prevent drug addiction. You make them make better decisions. Each teen that has worked for me can run Six Scoops, every bit of that aspect of it, as far as they order, they do the scheduling, they do everything clean. They train the others. From the time they start, usually with me at 15, and they normally stay with me until they are ready for college. They have been the most amazing part of this job. And I think we are also building a strong foundation in this community that's going to help fight against drugs. Now, saying that, we went from 6 to 20 this year. So that is probably the fastest growing business in Washington County, and it's due to our teens in the way that their parents have brought them up and the skills that we're teaching them. I'm not opposed to them at all. I called David not to fight him. I'm like, what do you have that we can offer them? I am against that building and that facility, even if I didn't own Six Scoops. Because I have been in business since I was 18 years old, standing on that corner. So this community means a lot to me. Our kids, our youth, and anybody that has recovered from drug addiction, I have the utmost respect for, and I would do anything I could to help them. I can't even lose 10 pounds. I can't imagine fighting a drug addiction and overcoming it. Like, I have done more research since this has come up than I have ever done on drug addiction, drug recovery, so I'm not fighting Kelly at all. I support her program, and I hope she's very successful. But if you look at that building and that location, I have 15-year-olds over there. And Kelly told me, because I called David, not because I needed him to represent me or to fight this. I called him because he has a lot of property. He has a lot of access to the property. Kelly said that after we talked about this, if you look at the property and what they're going to do with it, from a business standpoint, like not from my business, but if I was trying to help them in this community, they're putting 2 bedrooms into this facility with 4 bunk beds in one room, 2 bunk beds in the other. So that capacity is going to be 12 people if they take it to capacity, with no outside area at all. It's on a sidewalk with an alley. So even if their group that is fighting addiction does the very best that they can, how are they going to keep all the outsiders that don't need to be there away from that facility when it's on a public sidewalk? I even went and drove because their program is based on freedom within. Well, so I drove to look at that building, to see what they're doing right, because I've also researched and done enough to know that there's a lot of issues that come, which scare me, because I have teenagers that work for me. And it's just as important to build the program strong there so they can make better business decisions and be more prepared for their careers in the future and help build our community than what it is to backpedal and try to help the people that's trying to fight the addiction. So Kelly and I are basically working for the same thing. We're just on different ends of it. And I think one is as important as the other. I couldn't, to put 8 people in one room and expect there not to be issues, to keep all the other addiction problems away to where my building would be secure, you're on a public sidewalk. We have, you know, you can have rose-colored glasses on and try to act like there's not gonna be problems, but every business, I've been in business since I was 18, has issues. I've had rental property, I've worked with Section 8, I've helped.
Not to interrupt you, but we're nearing 5 minutes, so if you can conclude your comments shortly,
Okay,
please.
that's my issue. I want to help find a building. We've offered them other buildings that they could stay at and expand. They're gonna be here for 12 months. This is a pilot program. Then they're gonna find a permanent program for their women, and then they're gonna their plans are to start phase 2 and launch the recovery from men's addiction, and I will close my business. This directly affects not only my employees, my staff, but all the customers that has helped build 6 Scoops. And it may sound like ice cream, but it's a lot more. We're actually one of we've gone through, like I told the kids, you make more money out of selling sprinkles. They actually sold 75 pounds of sprinkles last year. That's what our teens are doing. And I don't think it's right to hurt that program to help another when we have so much vacant in this area. There's so much, let me find you a building. I'll find you a building, I'll help you find a better location. Like, that's what I'm offering.
Kelly Simons,
Oh, that was me, sorry.
Oh,
I just
sorry,
signed in, so
sorry.
I didn't know, sorry.
Michael Prindle,
Long trip up there. Yeah. Good evening. My name is Michael Prindle. I live at 1302 South New Salem Road, Salem, Indiana 47167. And I'm here in support, obviously, of Lifehouse. I'm a pastor at Agape Ministries out on Lee Street behind the Justice Center there. And I'm also an architect, registered in the state of Indiana. And, you know, I think a good example, you know, Kelly here, she came out of incarceration, 6 years ago?
On November 2nd.
And she did that because, one of the reasons is because our church supports an in-prison ministry. And that is to support females and males, but mostly females at this point, to better their lives, to have a ramp off out of prison to increase and become a productive member of society. And so we, a couple of people at our church fostered that with her, and she came out and she came to our church. And 6 years later, she has a passion for what happened to her. And that passion you see in her heart and in what she's saying. And as an architect, we're preparing the construction documents. We're pushing forward in faith. We're preparing construction documents to renovate that building. The renovations aren't significant, but they are there to make the building much more residential living space. And I don't believe that we're putting 8 people in one room. I think that's more like a maximum of 6, but we're starting as a smaller group. And we're stopping at 6, I think. And then one room is going to be for the house mother, and that'll be the other bedroom. And these two rooms are going to receive windows for natural light, and it's required by code, but it's also required for health.
and that sort of thing. Another thing we're doing at the building is we are providing a yard. We're building a yard along that alley side. It might be fenced, about 20 foot, 15 foot, I think. But we're gonna fence it in, we're gonna landscape it. It will be an outdoor space. For, because we recognize that's very important for the health of the occupants here. So I think that's all I had to say. But I'm passionate, and the testimony that we have here is Kelly herself, and we see what she's doing, and we're very supportive at Agape. We probably have 80 to 100 people. It's probably 60 people every Sunday, but we have connections with that in the community, and they're very supportive of this to go forward. So, thank you for the time.
Roy Pierce.
Good evening, gentlemen. If you don't mind, I would like to have the word of prayer, if you don't mind. Father God, we thank you tonight. We thank you for this meeting, Lord God. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Lord God, you're our Heavenly Father, and Lord God, we cannot do these things without you because you're our guide. You protect us and lead us and guide us and give us a wisdom that nobody else can give us, Lord God. So tonight, Lord God, I ask that your will be done, Lord God, on earth as it is in heaven. My name is Roy D. Pierce. I live at 1023 Sealy Road, Borden, Indiana. I run a ministry here, Forever Changed Outreach. As I can see, we actually started to use the building for the Forever Changed ministry and have a church in it, but it didn't work out. With the people that is being served in the community, I've been in Salem a year and 18 months, and I have had Salem police call me. I had state troopers call me because there's people that need this program that I have to take them to New Albany or I got to take them to Jeffersonville. But they live here in Salem. So the area that it is in is in a key area for the people that we minister to in Salem, Indiana. We also give them resources. We actually point them to resources. We do not enable them. And we encourage them, whatever township they're in, that when they get back on their feet, they need to address their trustee and let them know what their help has done for them, to encourage them to be part of society and not an eyesore that people want to kick to the curb. So it says that we are broken in spirit, individuals who are deeply hurt, defeated, emotionally shattered by life's difficulties, often characterized by feeling inner emptiness, vulnerability, and a need for healing. That was me. Before I gave my heart and life to Jesus Christ, I was in that same boat. I wasn't a drug or an alcoholic or anything like that, but I still needed a direction. And that's what these people need. They need a direction in life in order for them to be better in the society that Kelly, the Lighthouse, is trying to point them to. People want to say, well, why can't they get a job? Why can't they do this? Why can't they do this? When you're on an addiction, alcohol and that will take precedence over a rational thinking. For us to work with them, we have to have them a mindset, a structure, because we feed Jeffersonville and Louisville as well. If they're constantly on drugs and they have no key figure, key pointing, a lot of them, they don't know any difference. But a lot of people say, why don't they get a job? They can't, because a lot of times when you're affected by drugs, trauma, abuse, when they're young, it changes your lifestyle. I know one, 13-year-old was raped and beaten. These things here is trauma that people grow up with that we don't understand. We haven't walked in their shoes. So as we point to Kelly and the Lighthouse, we're trying to help society, help Salem, Indiana, Washington County, turn people that the society says they're worthless, they're not any good, they ought to be somewhere else. This is what we're trying to do, is turn them back into society with the better open their eyes on awareness to what's going on. And all I can say is it's been a blessing to serve with Kelly. Actually, there's a bunch of ministries that actually, First Christian, different things that are going on in Southern Hills, that we're all coming together to try to help out on this. So I appreciate your time, sir. God bless.
Chloe Day. Yeah, and you're up next as well, so.
Hi everyone, I'm Chloe Day of 3096 Jones Court. I wanted to come up as a teen today so we could get that point of view. I'm currently a junior in high school at Salem, and I wanted to come up and speak in behalf of the Lifehouse. As a young girl, I of course see a lot of judgment in high school, and I often, many times, see people being inconsiderate of others. I think it is only a blessing to see these women willing to turn their lives around. Addiction doesn't make anyone less human. It doesn't make them unworthy. It means they have been fighting battles most of us can't see. Everyone, no matter what, deserves a chance to grow and start over. When we choose love over fear and understanding over anger, we make our town stronger and the world a better place. We have to remember kindness costs nothing, and sometimes just feeling welcomed can be the thing that changes a person's life. As a 16-year-old girl, seeing what Kirsten and Kelly have done has inspired me, and we are blessed to have them in our community, willing to be the change. Let's be the community that stands up and lifts people up, not the community that pushes them away. Thank you for listening, and God bless.
I did not tell her to write that. I'm Talisha Day at 3096 Jones Court. I'm so proud of her. And I have listened to Kirsten building this for several weeks, and I think it's a great thing. These women, it's starting off with 3 women, not 6 or 8, 3 women. They do not have mental abuse, no schizophrenia, no bipolar. They are regularly drug tested. It's just women trying to better themselves. I know they're doing a lot with the church. They've got the architect here. They're going to better the building, and that's what we need in Salem. I mean, it's not going to be abandoned, and I think we just need to have more grace for people and not be so judgmental when we don't know truly what it's going to be. So, thank you for listening.
Angie Wilson.
Hi, I'm Angie Wilson. My business is 107 South Main Street. I am not here because I want to be, but because I was asked to be. I was married to an alcoholic for 25 years, and my sister's an alcoholic. So I know the struggles. I'm also president of Washington County Helping Hands. And so when these guys got together and decided to do this, I was probably the first in their list of people that they reached out to. So I think what they're doing is a very good thing. I know their heart's in the right place, and I know there is a need. On the business standpoint, my office is directly across from the women's shelter. So I know that is a very structured environment, guarded, someone's on site 24/7. But I've had my office there since 2014. Any problems that I've seen coming from the women's shelter has not been from the people within. It's the family members, the exes, the whatever, that kind of stalk or, try to catch them coming in and out. And from a business owner standpoint, it makes me feel very uncomfortable if I've got some dude lurking in the, entryways of other businesses to kind of watch and see what's going on. Different family members, they will try to persuade them. Addiction, there's a misery there, there's a codependency there. And so my suggestion, and I don't know what their pattern is, I've not read any of their stuff, but if you do pass this, there needs to be some strict guidelines and things that they need to follow. Thank you.
Dustin Williams.
Hi, I'm Dustin Williams, 1307 Westview Drive in Borden, Indiana. Susan Sammy is my mother. She's, like she said earlier, she has owned that property and that business for 40 years on that corner. I know she's employed many teenagers, and the addiction is not the issue at all. And I feel like when she's talking about the business part of it, we feel like maybe Lighthouse is being a little short-sighted on their possibilities of where they could grow. All right, they're going to have a 2-bedroom with 6 people in there. That's not I'm not saying 6 people isn't important at all, but they could grow to so much more if they had a different space. All right, and so with the teenagers there, my mother doesn't feel safe with those teenagers. The girl, mostly young girls. All right, and so I think that if they could find another space. And like she said, they're more than willing to help find a larger space with more capabilities of growing. And I think that's the angle that we're trying to express.
I believe it's Tony Hostetler.
My name is Tony Hostetler, 1109 Reeves Lane in Jeffersonville, Indiana. I'm obviously not a constituent or a concerned member. I'm just here to support my friend Kelly in her endeavor. I've looked at her business plan. I've worked in recovery for several years now, even serving some folks that came from Washington County in the Salem area and happen to go sometimes all the way across the river for services. What she's put in place is a very structured living home. It's not a flop house. It's not your traditional halfway house. She's going to be teaching these young ladies life skills that they may not have had before: how to fix a meal, how to care for their family, how to just survive in everyday society. Because some of us take for granted that some people aren't taught those things. I'm here to speak out in high support of this. And location, as far as that goes, it's a perfect location because the building's already there and they're within walking distance of mental health services if they need to get to probation or parole or any of that, court hearings. So I ask that you vote to pass this and let her be progressive in the Washington County substance use. Thank you.
Jason Gilstrap.
Well, good evening, Jason Gilstrap. Business address is 108 North Water Street, which is the building directly to the east of the proposed Lifehouse building. It's a rental. It's a 3-unit apartment complex I've owned for about 10 years. We have family living in it, and like Susan and many others have said, our issue is not with recovery or what they're trying to do. It's the location is just horrible. There's no outside anything there. It's all on the city street. I know one gentleman said about putting fenced in areas so they can't be outside. That's in an alley. I mean, so you're going to have a fenced in area in an alley that's gravel. It's just the location is just awful. And it's also, to my knowledge, that building's in a floodplain. I don't know if you guys do that or not, but if that's what I was told, I don't know. But parts of it is I know it's flooded multiple times because I've owned a building right next to it for about 10 years. And the other thing was, I'm assuming I've been through the variance process twice, and you have to, as a person proposing a variance, you have to send out certified letters to all the neighboring people, which I'm sure you all know. But pretty much everybody I see here that's around it is opposed to it, so I'm also opposed to it for those reasons. Thank you.
Lori Gilstrap.
My name is Lori Gilstrap, and I'm Jason Gilstrap's wife. concerning the property at 108 North Water Street, which is adjacent to the property that they're trying to get the use variance on. Just a couple of things I wanted to add. I think everybody in this room can agree that drug and addiction issue is everywhere. I've buried 2 family members from addiction. I know. Our issue is the location of this. Since we've owned the building, we've had police there twice due to homeless issues. Once when there was a camper sitting behind this building in this same alley, the city allowed them to stay there for a while, and I understood they were a homeless issue or a homeless couple that was trying to stay there. The problem was not just with them staying there, but it turned out to the point where a mattress was thrown outside, other homeless people were sleeping in it, and at one point the mattress was caught on fire, which put at risk and jeopardized everybody's buildings at that point. That was something that we contended with for 2 years, at least, 1.5 years, 2 years, until that situation finally resolved and the camper was moved out. We've also had issues. I've had police called twice because there was people that were sleeping in between the buildings. The homeless would come and I can barely squeeze in there, but I guess if I was cold, I guess I could make it. But, you know, there's been issues where we've had people that were renting our building saying there's people talking outside, and we've had to have the police down there twice. So to say that there's outside influences that are not going to affect this, I can't believe anybody could possibly say that it will never happen. The location for that is, you know, like Susan said, there are teenagers, especially during the spring and summer, walking through there. And yes, to my knowledge, like my husband brought up, that building has flooded twice since the 2015. We've had water in our basement, and that's why everything in the basement of that building, since he's had it and renovated it, has all now been moved to upper level because that basement has flooded twice. Well, if that basement could flood, then that one's gonna flood. So for those reasons, you know, we just feel like this location, there is nothing there for those people outside. You know, if they wanted to go outside, they could very well be walking into negative influences that the whole community wishes that was not there. We all wish it wasn't there, but it is. And it seemed like there was another point I wanted to bring up. Services. When somebody had made the remark that it's close to services. I don't understand what services it's close to. It's not close to probation. We don't have good services here if something does happen. I've lived with addiction in my family, and mental health issues go along with addiction issues. I've dealt with it. I've lived it. I've been up in the middle of the night, and I've buried family members from it. So in that respect, it kind of concerns me of why here when we don't have a behavioral medicine unit. I mean, we've got police, but do the police want the live? I mean, to me, it's like if we start having issues in that neighborhood from this, and it may not be them, but it could be the outside influences to that, is the city willing to take the liability and take that on? And I just don't think the city of Salem has that. Thank you.
Melody McKinney.
Hi, my name is Melody McKinney, and I live at 586 North Helm Street, Paoli. I just wanted to kind of give an idea of sober living. I grew up here my whole life. Went to school here, graduated from here, and I have 4 years clean now. I went through a faith-based sober living in Paoli, Indiana. I had to go there because there was no help here. But coming from one of those, it provided structure for me, stability. It taught me how to follow rules. It also, you know, I got a relationship with God. And as far as security and all that, I know with the sober living where I lived at over there, we had like cameras outside, so we were, you know, constantly watching what was going on there, along with the house mom that runs the program, who is there around the clock. So, you know, I probably wouldn't have had to move away from here if there would have been some type of help here for me. And I think this is a good thing for this place.
Tom Cyphers.
Kelly asked me, I'm Tom Cyphers at 136 East Eastern Hills Boulevard in Salem. This is the layout, the design layout that Kelly has to submit to show what the bedrooms are, if the board would accept it from me. So it's a maximum of 8 occupants, but I wanted to come speak because of homelessness. You know, I never thought that there would be a day that Salem would see a homeless problem. I'd heard rumors of it before I actually saw it, and now it really is a problem. And what we know is people who are homeless usually are homeless for a reason. It's not because they lack a home. Giving them a home just, to me, is remodeling a house that has a fire burning in the basement. You got to address the underlying problem. The underlying problem with almost all homelessness is some mental health issue, often addiction. We also know, it's no secret, that anymore most incarcerations have some sort of drug or alcohol relationship, whether it's a crime involving drugs or alcohol, or it is a crime committed to support or the result of drug and alcohol. That's an issue. That contributes to the explosion that we've seen in incarceration in recent years. We also know, it's no secret, that when people are released from incarceration, by that point they've often burned all bridges and they've got nowhere to go. And we have an incredibly high recidivism rate. It's because they've got no resources, and ultimately the only way to make money, the only way to support yourself, because they're a convicted felon or whatever, is they return to the life that they came from. We now have homelessness, and all the problems that I heard talked about are true. This is a very structured, well-structured, faith-based program that the people will be required initially to go through classes, ultimately structured classes in the facility. Ultimately, they're required to get a job. They have to go to work during the day, then they have to come back and attend classes, faith-based classes. They're required to do to go to church. I forget all the programming that's done, but the busyness that's thrust upon them is incredible. There's not a whole lot of free time. This isn't a place where people go camp out and act as vagrants. There's not going to be coming and going at will, okay? And then at night they're sleeping. I appreciate Six Scoops and I appreciate Susan Sammy because of all the things she's done in this community. And I understand her opposition to this. I get it. I think a lot of this, though, is based on fear of the unknown. A block off the courthouse, we have a women's shelter. That's already been brought up. We have most hospital emergency rooms have drug and alcohol issues running in and out their back door all the time. And we have one of those backed right up to a housing addition, Martin Heights. This women's shelter, up until 1986, was our jail, a block off the square. The location we're talking about now was a house of worship. This is a ministry. To me, this doesn't even deviate, really, other than it's going to be used on a daily basis rather than a Sunday basis. But this strikes me nothing more than a continuation of a ministry under a different name, because everything about this is faith-based and largely faith-based recovery. So I'm in support of the program. I understand the concerns of the people that are opposed to it. But I think this is a step towards trying to prevent that, because we have, homeless people have walked into my soccer practices. I coach high school girls, and we show up at practice and there's someone high on drugs sitting there smoking, and you're trying to conduct practice and there's girls putting their cleats on. That's a problem. We're finally looking to get something to address that problem, and that matters. So I think there's a maximum of 8 people. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what this is and misunderstandings about how structured it will be so that people aren't walking around on the street. Thank you.
Kirsten Quick.
Hello, I'm Kirsten Quick at 808 Bristol Street in Salem, Indiana. And I own a business inside the Sage Room on Water Street. It's a new salon that's just opened up in between the 2 barber shops. I have been an owner of my own hair business now for 10 years, and I've been a hairstylist for 15. I have worked as a single mother, and I had a mother that overdosed 9 years ago. I have two sisters who are in recovery, well, one sister, sorry, and then a brother-in-law. I have a brother in recovery. I have multiple cousins in recovery, and none of them have been able to recover without the help of a recovery home. I am not in recovery. Somehow I made it out alive without, falling into the addiction. But I honestly think becoming a mom at 19 saved me, and moving away from Salem saved me. I just moved back to Salem after 15 years of being in Jefferson County, and while I was there, I served on the board of Ruth Haven for 3 years, which is the recovery home for women in Jefferson County. So I know very well what the ins and outs of a recovery home looks like. I'm very much a part of this with Kelly. I've been on it since day one. I mean, first time we talked about it was in January. We've searched for buildings, and this was the one that we thought was good because of the location. I have a 15-year-old daughter who has actually worked with Erica Worley one time out at Delaney for free for Susan. But with that being said, I have no concerns about my daughter or her friends being at my salon on Water Street or being in any type of danger. My children were around my brothers and sisters with certain boundaries while they were in addiction. And I also want to say that if you want to talk about mental health, I had my own mental health issues, even though I'm a successful businesswoman, single mother, never been married, and I've taken very well care of my children. I had to overcome my own grief. I had to do my own counseling. I've been in and out of counseling for years, and I think that it is fear-based. All these negative comments that are going against Lifehouse, I think it is rooted in fear, in the unknown, and I think that going back to Ruth Haven, it's very structured. There's 24/7 surveillance. There's a 24 hours a day, I think it was Melody said, a live-in mom who lives in the house at all times. And there's sign-in and sign-out sheets. They cannot roam freely. And there is repercussions to that. Either they get in trouble. A lot of these women will come straight out of jail, so they might still have an ankle monitor on. A lot of them do and will. But they need a place that, the location of this place. Now, I've spoken to some residents and another salon across the street from 6 Scoops, and they do not care. They said they don't care that it goes in there. And also another, I don't want to say her name, but I have Facebook messages from her saying that her only concern was the drug deals that are currently going on the streets. Like her daughters walk outside right now and say, "Oh, smell the devil's lettuce," or whatever she called it. So there's already stuff happening, and if anything, having that vacant property, having us there is going to deter that. I mean, I just don't think it's going to bring anything negative. Like the teenagers, I think that if Susan wants to be a part of it, she could employ our women and help women recover by giving them a job. So maybe she could, turn the dials here. I'm not saying that teenage girls aren't important, but women in recovery are mothers, sisters, daughters, granddaughters. They have children, most of them will. And, So, I mean, that's just, I don't think that there's any need to not approve this based on any of the things you've heard tonight. I just don't think that that's fair. So, thank you, that's it.
That's all of the, well, actually, Mr. Allen, we're towards the end of the list. Before I open it up for anyone else that may want to speak that's not already signed in, would you like to
I would like to.
offer your public comment, please?
Ready for me now?
Yes, please.
May I? Just so I can take.
Yes, I mean, we do stream, and so the microphones, it's, yeah, I don't know if, yeah, I mean, yeah, or honestly, if you'd like, would you mind, or would you be able to sit up here just so we can get you on the microphone?
Sitting in one place is my
Or here, we can put a chair right here.
Put the microphone down.
actually, I think it might be a good place to stand.
Well, here, please feel free.
The members of the board, thank you very much for this opportunity to appear before you, members of the audience. A couple of things I'm reminded of Mr. Vissing's heritage in southern Indiana, and it's a great name down along the river. In about 1967, 68, the city of Salem decided to engage on a process of zoning. They'd not done that. I happened to be in an adult age at that point in time, was able to remember that. One of the things they did in creating zoning is they identified an area of the town of Salem that they felt especially responsible for. And that includes this general business designation that they have, which lists, as you know, I know you've read that, which lists all of the various types of properties can be there. And that area includes Susan Sama's investment in the home and her beauty shop and the 6 Scoops. One thing I don't want to do during my few minutes here with you is to talk any more about the quality of the program or programs that are available in the community or should be available in the community. I think it's wonderful that we're able to do something for those people. It's been so many years coming. And it's just, everyone who spoke in favor of the programs, I absolutely chair that. That's a wonderful thing. On the other hand, when I turn on the TV at night and I see the drug boats with 5 motors on running drugs from Venezuela to Miami or wherever, I think we're not doing a very good job. There's something wrong. And the thing that's not been spoken to you about this, and is I think absolutely required by this board, is the money. You've got to follow the money here. These things don't come for free. And I think the way to point this out is for me to look at Tom, say, Tom, do you want Susan Sama to pay the bill for the depreciation in her property because we're running people in and out of there all the hours of the day and night? And one of the things about these programs is they're based on failure. They're not based on success. The need for the participation program is based on failure. And that causes people to have undesirable feelings about the area. Susan is going to lose here. She's going to, if this passes as it is now, she's going to lose a lot of money and the value of her lifelong savings in that property that she has there. So that's what I think we've missed here, and what I think this is really about. I do not believe that the standards of the board that are set out in the ordinances for zoning appeals have been met here tonight in any way. They fail completely. There's been nothing to show at all that there are not other properties that are properly zoned, that can be used for this purpose. We know there are many. There are many people in the community, Vernon Hacker, Ken Temple, myself. There are a lot of the gentlemen who approached you for the variance earlier. The people who own multiple investment properties who would be more than happy to lease, sell, rent these properties to an agency that's properly funded. I had asked for some information from the agency, from Kelly, about where the money was coming from and how much there would be, and was there enough to run this facility? Because the drawing she gave me shows 8 beds in one bedroom, okay, one room, 4 bunk beds is what that appears to show. Well, I was unable to receive any assurance at all that the program could be successful with the funding that it has. Without you knowing that, I don't know how you could possibly make a decision about whether or not there would be harm to other people who own property like myself in the neighborhood. I do want to, before I close on this matter, I do want to share you with one observation, which I think kind of puts us where we need to be, is one of the buildings I own opens up on Walnut Street, half a block from this property. I mean, it's essentially next door to the parking lot. One day I was walking back from lunch, and one of the properties had been occupied and been moved out. We had a change in tenants. So I went in and looked around and walked in the back door and looked around and everything looked good. I turned around and there was a body laying on the floor of this apartment. I thought, oh Lord, please don't have taken this man's life. And I walked up to him and I approached him, and I was able to, he moved a little bit. I thought, oh wow, you know, he actually moved. So I worked with him and I got him conscious and got him up in a seating position, finally got him on his feet, took him down to Arby's, bought him a hamburger and a Coke, you know, and learned a little bit about him. And his life was, like these folks have said, it's driven by the need for these programs. But they don't need to be on the back of one person. We're a good enough economy, and that we can approach not only our charitable organizations, but our taxing organizations to get these people enough money to run their program in a way that does not harm other people financially. And that's all Susan's about. She wants these programs. I want these programs. Sometimes I think I run my own programs, but that's what we've done. And I thank you for listening to me. And the gentleman did survive, and we kind of got it going in the right direction. So there are some successes along the way. Thank you very much. Any questions that you have of me? Thank you.
So we've reached the end of the list of folks who have signed in. If there's anyone else that has public comment, again, we'd ask for it not to be repetitive of things that have been said previously in the interest of time. But you can approach the podium one at a time. Please sign in, state your name and address for the record. And on the sign-in sheet, please include both your name and
Okay, at the same time.
Yeah, thank you.
Marvin Overstreet is my name. I'm pastor of the Free Gospel Fellowship in Pekin. I wanted to step up here. I was reluctant to put my name on the list because of where our church is at in Pekin, but realizing that Pekin is in Washington County, and I live in Borden, down at 104 Stark Drive in Borden. But I wanted to step up here tonight and say that we have Sister Sue and also Kelly come down to the church and present this to our church. And we're having a vote on the 9th of this month, which is that week from this coming Sunday. And that vote is to give 5% of our total income to this ministry. Now, whether it's on Water Street or wherever it's at, our church is committed to the Life House. And I just want to take a minute or two just to say that and let you know. And from my point of view, I'm one of those people. I was homeless. I was 10 cents. Back when you used to have a phone call for a dime, I was 1 dime away from not being able to come home from Phoenix, Arizona, on the streets. But one man had compassion for me, gave me a dime to make a call, and it changed my whole life. And I wanted y'all to hear that tonight, because it's not the massive amount of money. Our church is not big, but we committed this, and we're going to put it before our church and our church board on the 9th, and we're committed to this. So I want you to hear that tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Bowsman, and I live at 906 North High Street, Salem, Indiana. And I am the founder and director of the Washington County Warming Station here in Salem. And I started that ministry in 2019, and we're still currently going and actually growing and stronger than ever, our ministry that we have. I am very, very aware of our unsheltered individuals in Washington County, and it is growing and growing since 2019. We've seen such an increase. My husband and I have helped them. We also get phone calls, as like Dave Pierce has said, to take individuals that are needing help and assistance to other counties, because we don't have those kind of services here, like the sober living house that Life House is going to be. We have seen in the warming station, we have individuals come in when it's 35 or below. We do a meal for them every time they're in there. Every Monday night, even year round, we have a meal for our unsheltered individuals in Washington County. We have never had any issues or problems. We see all walks of life. We see veterans. We see single mothers with children. We have children that come in there. We see adults with addiction, struggling with addiction and mental health issues. We see a little bit of everybody that come into the warming station. And one thing that I've strived for is to make it a family type atmosphere, because there's a lot of stigma that goes along with homelessness, and a lot of it is there's so much more to these individuals than what the stigma, tells people. We have teenagers that volunteer, and they're part of our ministry there. There's never been any issues with our teenagers, and as a matter of fact, I would advise parents to get teenagers involved in this sort of thing, and just as well as like for the sober living house. We have Sunday schools that bring their Sunday school children in to volunteer, and these are the same individuals, that are, some of them that would be going to get help, that would be, like they said, they would have to be sober for so many days anyways. It's not like they're in active addiction when they're placed in this sober living facility. So, lost my train of thought there. It seems to be a pretty safe situation, since it is going to be where they have to be clean for so many days. I know that I've seen, and we've seen at the warming station, individuals that, like I said, I've been doing this since 2019 is when I started the warming station. And we've seen individuals who have had some mental health issues and addiction issues who have gotten clean. We've been there to celebrate their milestones, their 30-day chips, their 60-day chips. We're very proud of these individuals. We want to see them getting back into the community to where they can, one day get a job again and be a good member to society. Today, I got a text from some of our individuals who have been clean now for 60 days, and I'm just so proud of them. And they wanted us, the people that run and volunteer at the warming station, to come and see them this Sunday because they're getting baptized at a local church here in Salem. And I just see, you know, there's just so much out there for these individuals. And I can just see where this step here, the Life House, it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be a wonderful thing for these individuals to be able to get them back out into, you know, giving back themselves. So that's just basically what I wanted to say. And as far as the concern with the teenagers, which is what I've heard, get these teenagers involved with helping out with, because this is real life. You know, you can't keep people sheltered. You know, let them see for themselves, you know, that this, you know, I would invite them down to the warming station to see what we deal with down there. And the biggest conflict we've ever had down there was you know, we didn't have enough Debbie snack cakes to hand out. So, you know, that was it. There wasn't no big drug bust or drug deals or anything like that. So, you know, that's I can just say, like I said, my husband and I have done this since 2019. This is 2025, so I have a pretty good little bit of block of time there to judge what I'm saying off of. So I'm in support of Lifehouse, and I think they're going to do a great thing, and I hope that the community will open up and give them this opportunity. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello, my name is Jason Bontrager. I live at 1206 Old State Road 60 here in Salem. I'm the president of Legacy Life Church, owns a facility at 202 West Walnut Street. I just wanted to clarify a few things about the facility. It was purchased and became a church in 1994, which it was run by a 501c3, and we've had capacity as many people as 175 people in a meetings in that facility. It's a very large facility. I think the building is 7,000 square foot total. To say that is to say that this is a very small ministry compared to what it has been. Up until 3 years ago, we used it as a church, and at which time we discontinued using it as a church facility. But to me, it would be a continuation of a 501c3, which I think would be a wonderful benefit to the community. And the ministry, we have done many things. One of the things that had been mentioned was some of the homeless that had issues with around the facility. We ran a soup kitchen, which brought in homeless for several years there, feeding needy families in the community, and we fed many, many, many during that time span. And when you help people in the community, it will draw in people that maybe are not what are desirable maybe in a community. But I cannot imagine a better place for this to happen than in a facility that was already zoned for a ministry, a 501c3 ministry, than that one. I don't think that anybody would want it in their residential community. And so to me, being in a more or less, I know it has some residents around it, I still feel like as a zoned, I believe it is commercial, it would still be a benefit to be in that location, better than in somebody's subdivision. And so with that said, I just want to speak from behalf of, speak on behalf of that facility and what it's used for. It has been close to flooding many times. We only had one time, the 200-year flood. They said that it several years back, but it only flooded one time, and that we ever had it in the building. And I believe that's been remedied since then. So anyway, I just wanted to give that information. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I am Brant Parrish. I actually am the property manager for David Allen, and we actually have the privilege of renting to Kelly Simmons. And she is an awesome tenant, and I believe that she has the best intentions at heart. But one thing that I've heard that is alarming is the issue of flooding. And that's one thing, if this property does have those issues, which we do manage properties that have flooding problems, what do you do? The same thing that I was on TV, if some of you saw me when we had 209 West Walnut flood. I had to get the tenants out. They had to leave. It was unsafe to be there. So my only concern, and I fully support the mission, fully support her, is that if this property does flood and you have people living in there constantly, you're going to have problems with what to do with the people staying there. You're going to have to get them out. They're going to have to find somewhere else to go. And we did just recently have another flooding event, although it wasn't as bad as what we had prior. Those issues, if it is in the floodplain, present a problem that may require selecting a different space. Now, there is a lot of fear here about what those changes, but the reality is if the building floods, that is a problem that needs to be addressed, and a new space may need to be selected. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Adelie Hobson. I live at 1071 East Pearly Road. And being the child of an addict has always been hard, and it's always come with its own obstacles. It was always something that you think it's an ongoing cycle and it's never going to end. But when she went to recovery, I thought I didn't trust it was going to work. But it did, and I think every child that has a mother or a father that is an addict deserves the chance to have their mother or father back. And this house will give opportunities for people in Salem to go and get clean for their children and become the parent that they want to be, even though it's hard. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
My name's Rhonda Gerald. I have a business at 14 Public Square here in Salem. And I did not intend to speak, so I may ramble about a little bit, but Greg Zink's probably familiar with my ability to do so. So I just want to say a couple of things about addiction. I've done just, yeah, okay, all right. Relapse rates are anywhere from 45 to 75% when people are in recovery. And I feel that one of the very most important parts of their success, or the ability to have a successful recovery that is long-lasting, well, there's several factors, but one of those factors is their facility and their care and their location, meaning the facility needs to have certain aspects to it that make it a comfortable place to be. So, for example, there needs to be space for a meeting room or a family visit room where they can get away from everybody and visit with their loved ones. There needs to be outdoor space where people can go outside and actually, kind of get away from each other and have a little, touch some grass, as they say. And then the people who are in charge of the facility is a very dicey situation to try to care for people in recovery. So there has to be a lot of experience that goes along with that, and there have to be credentials, and it can't just be about the good heart and the good intentions and that type of thing. So I want to challenge, and again, I dare say, I'm going to turn around and look at everybody. Not a single person in this room is against people in recovery or having a facility where people can be in recovery. Not a single person in this room, okay? I challenge you, though, before it is too late, to please look at all your options on a facility, because the environment is extremely important. It's extremely important to these people that are going into this recovery scenario. And they need space, They don't need to be, feeling like they're crammed in with other people. And I know you've already put a lot of work into looking at this facility, but I just challenge you to open your mind to thinking about, I don't want you to be set up to fail, okay, at all. I don't want you to be set up for failure. I don't want you to be set up for lack of growth, because I think it's too important. So I feel like, I don't have a dog in this fight, okay, but I feel like it's very important to look at all of your options on the right facility, because I don't want you to get into something and it's growing and it's doing well, but then you don't have the resources to support the people that need your help. So I just challenge you to look, and if there's a better place available that is for the same money, but it has more space, it has all the ability to have the things, the right parts of the facility that you need, I just challenge you to just really go down that road before you make a final decision that this is the place. The flooding is a factor. The street is a bit dicey. It's a bit of a factor. So again, I don't think anybody wants to fight this facility. I think we all are 100% behind this, but I want it to be well planned and well thought out and not set up for failure. And so that means make sure it's the right facility. Thank you.
My name is Brandon Terrell. Live at 5127 South Martinsburg Road, Salem, Indiana. Change is hard. When Walmart was coming in, everybody was scared of what it was going to do to everything else in this city. The city's not changed much. It's grown. That's a good thing. They put money back into the community. They give back to the community. That's what this is going to do. I worked at the city police department for 10 years. I had people come in weekly looking for a place to stay after they got out of jail, trying to do the right thing, trying to stay sober. We had nowhere to go with them. We had nothing to do with them. We would point them to go to Jeffersonville or New Albany or Seymour, someplace that could help them. This is something that can help them. I know it's small at this point, but saving one life means a lot. I know everybody here has dealt with addiction in their family. Everybody's dealt with it. It don't discriminate. I know she's got concerns. She's concerned about the young kids that she has working for her. That is a concern. But I would venture to guess that whether we know it or not, there is a drug addict that walks by those kids every day. There is a drug addict that walks into that store every day. There is a drug addict that's in Walmart shopping with them. And there's worse things than drug addicts that could be standing there walking by them. So that is something that's going to happen anywhere you are. Unfortunately, it's a part of life. But this is trying to help that. If it can take one drug addict and turn it into two that's no longer a drug addict, that's what means something. Anybody that can get the help that they need and is willing to put in the work, Kelly's going to be willing to help them. Kelly has devoted her life to this. Kelly's got her background in this. I believe she's got a master's now. She's almost got her master's in this kind of thing. So she is experienced. She's been working in it for years now. We need to look at what the good this brings to the community. Thank you, guys.
Hi, I'm Chancellor Hobson. I live at 1071 East Pearly Road, and I just want to say a couple things. I dealt with addiction for years. I have been in recovery now for almost 3 years. And luckily, I had a home to come home to. If I would not have, then I don't know what I would have done. But I just want to say that 3 years ago, I was going to prison. I just could not get out of my addiction, okay? And so I went to rehab and I made a change, and I got involved with the 12-step program, and because I had a home to go home to, and I was involved with my 12-step community, then I was able to stay clean. But then I wanted to go back to school. So I'm getting ready to graduate with my bachelor's degree in May. So I went from going to prison to graduating. Actually, I have a 3.94 GPA, and I'm actually going to try to go to law school. So it's not just Kelly that's going to be helping out with these people and getting this house going. I'm very passionate about this, and I just want to be there to help the other people, because I know that this is something that we need, and no matter where it goes, somebody's going to have an issue with it, really. There's not going to be, whether it's around other houses or somewhere, there's always going to be a problem with it. And I just think that we need to look past that. And I also know that places like the Genesis House over in Harrison County, they have not had the problems like Susan was worried about. And also, I think the place is abandoned right now. So, like Kirsten said, putting that business there would help. And I just think it would be a good move for this community. That's all I have.
My name's Heather Pennington. I live at 17 Iroquois Boulevard. I just want to bring a little bit of a different perspective. I guess I had no intention of speaking. I'm in full support of this. But my perspective is I am the nursing director at an inpatient male facility. I've been there for 10 years, actually 13 years. For the last 6 years, I've been blessed to be able to take care of men that are in recovery. So some of these guys are coming from jail, some of these guys are coming from the street. But what I am here to tell you all is that I do get returning patients. A lot of them, the most of my returning patients are ones that have a terrible discharge plan. Buildings like what Kelly is doing, discharge plan, perfect. Hardly ever see them. They'll come back for meetings, different things like that. I'm just going to run through a couple of things that I just wanted to bring up just because I work in this every single day, have for a while, feel blessed to do so. We're talking about how this will affect teens. I really wish that working in an ice cream shop would keep somebody from getting involved in addiction. So I'll just take that part out. I really think that women that are in recovery and have put in the work to get to where they're going to be in this recovery house, they would probably be the ones that I would want my kids to be around because they're fighting tooth and nail to get to where they are right now. And I guarantee you they have a different outlook on life being where they are at this point. We keep talking about location. I know Kelly checked into a place that probably size-wise and different things like that earlier in the year probably would have been a good option, but we're talking about being close to resources, and that means this was out in the country. So these people are coming from the throes of addiction. Maybe they've detoxed in a hospital. Maybe they've been lucky enough to spend 30 days with me. Now they're going to the next step. These people usually don't have vehicles. This addiction has taken everything from them, everything. Families, homes, I've had famous people, I've had people that were homeless, someone did say addiction does not discriminate, it does not. So they need to be close to resources because they need to be able probably to walk to a job, to walk to a grocery store, different things like that. Like I said, this is so when they come to me, we're already getting the ball rolling. Maybe they were in jail. Maybe their family gave them an ultimatum. You go to treatment or we're done with you. I've seen it all. All I know is that whenever they make the call to come and see me or they want to get treatment or whatever happens that makes them change their mind, this is the first step into a long process, but this is the very crucial step. So once you get that ball rolling in that direction, they need to go to sober living. That keeps the ball rolling in the right direction. Like I said, they don't have a good discharge plan, they come back and see me, then we start all over again. Let's see. Not everybody that will be going to Kelly will be coming straight from jail. This is different than a halfway house. I think there's a lot of miscommunication there, misconceptions, different things like that. Look things up. There's Google, YouTube for everything. Look it up. See what a residential program is. See what a sober living is. It is very strict. We keep talking about no yard. People that live in apartments, do they have yards? No. My facility is very small. It is in a square. We house 38 patients whenever we are full, all men. Two of our rooms, actually, 3 guys in a room. They've been talking about putting bunk beds in, and the reason is because more people need this type of help. So as long as they have, room to move and all of that different stuff, the whole point is they're not going to be staying there all day. These people are fighting to get their lives back. They're going to be spending time with family. Groups are huge. A job, like probably 20 hours out of their day, they're going to have programming shoved down their throats, 12-step programs, different things like that. So, we get to go home. We have the luxury of laying on the couch, just chilling, whatever. These people are learning how to live again. That's why this is important. I feel like, yes, this is a pilot program, a test, but I feel like this is already shut down before it even begins because the location, we're talking about homeless people and burning mattresses. Kelly had nothing to do with this. Lifehouse had nothing to do with that. Like, you're already punishing this location or this opportunity for things that have happened in the past. I don't think that Salem is ever going to grow if people don't start having open minds about things. I'm not from Salem. My husband's on the city council. He agrees with this. He's a huge advocate and supporter for this program. In the beginning, was he really open-minded to things like this? No, but this is what happens whenever you have someone that can educate you and you are willing to learn and you're willing to open your mind. Let's see if there's anything else. I feel like we are forgetting the main issue here, or the bottom line, and that is these women are in recovery. They're not going to these houses. They're not going there to sell drugs. They're not going there. They're not going to have their dealers coming and different things like that. Is there a possibility that people could show up? Sure. There's a possibility somebody could show up to find me at Walmart, at the gas station. It doesn't matter. This is something these women are learning how to relive, just start all over. So I really think that some of these are valid points. I get it. I'm not big on zoning and all that. My husband can deal with that. Chuck can deal with that. That's not my thing. My thing is helping people in recovery. I'm good at it. Our facility does really well. I am in Corden. I am in Harrison County. I am familiar with Freed From Within. I know that name was brought up. Genesis House, yes. I'm all men. So I'm excited about this, women showing out, this thing blowing up, and then I can send my guys here too. And then, like right now, a lot of people probably don't know that there is an inpatient program in Corden, but there is. So some people here don't want to go to Indy or Louisville or bigger facilities. This is help close to home. They can go 30 miles up the road, come right back home, whole new guy, whole new woman. So I'm just encouraging you all to not punish this facility, this opportunity for growth by previous things in the building, and not be so closed-minded. So that's just my spiel.
Is there any additional comment from the public?
My name is Judy Jenkins, and I am one of the homeless people she's afraid of. I am in recovery. I'm 60 days, and I walk by her business every day. I like to go in there one day when I get a job, but right now I don't even acknowledge that. The place she's looking at is wonderful. I walk by it every day. I could walk to the grocery store, So probation like I do I don't have a car. I've never had a driver's license. So I walk everywhere I go. And that is a perfect spot. I'm sorry she don't agree or nobody else does, but like I said, I've never had a license, so I'm not going to drive without a license. And I'll walk everywhere. I'm getting baptized Sunday. I never thought I'd do it again. I never thought I'd be clean again. And we're talking about 8 beds to a room. What does jail do? 8 beds to a room, you guys. They really do. I just got out 3 months ago. First time ever in trouble. And for Miss Kelly's program, I would love to volunteer. Thank you. That's all I've got to say.
Before we turn it back over to the applicant, are there any additional public commenters? Going once, going twice? All right.
Long board meetings are the worst, so I'm gonna try to make this real quick. I just wanna touch on some things that I heard, and there was so much, and I'm just in awe of both sides of this. I think that it's amazing that there's been so much thought put into this property, even when it's not what I want to hear. I think that it's amazing that so many people have shown up and expressed their feelings. I do want to say that in the 6 years that I've been in recovery, I have been in college for the better part of that. I am also a forensic navigator who works in the Scott County Jail. So my job actually is formulating positive, safe reentry plans with people who are incarcerated. So every day I go into the jail and I am working with people so that when they get out of jail, they have an answer to the hardest question or hardest decision that I had to make. So when I got out of Washington County Jail, let me backtrack. I moved to Washington County in 2014. I was a librarian in Harrison County. I was introduced to heroin and meth here. And in 5 years, everything was lost. I was a shell of the woman that I was, and I went to jail. And when I got out of jail, I had a decision to make of which car I was going to get into. I had some of the women that are here tonight waiting for me in the parking lot. And I also had my drug dealer waiting there for me. And in that car was Celebration Heroin, because who doesn't want to celebrate when they get out of jail? That is what we face in this community. It was certainly my reality. And thank God I got in the right car and went to a recovery residence. But not many people want to go as far as I had to go to find myself. I had to leave my community. I had to leave my children to go get the help I needed. So, someone mentioned credentials. I am credentialed in many things. I am credentialed in suicide risk assessment. I am credentialed in culturally responsive. Actually, 9 people that work on the Lifehouse team are signed up to participate and become mental health first aiders, which is an extensive training on November 17th. So Lifehouse is not just about helping people who struggle with addiction, it's about educating our community and putting mental health opportunities in our community. There are some resources already here that was addressed. We have a Life Springs, we have a hospital. I also want to state that the funding for this program is not taxpayer dollars. A lot of, like you heard, we have a lot of faith-based support, and we also have hundreds of thousands of opioid settlement funds right here in Washington County that cannot be used for anything but these remediation strategies for people who suffer with addiction. And those funds are specific to remediation for opioid use disorder. There are unrestricted funds, a smaller amount that can be used for other things, which I think is great. But the larger amounts of this money, I think 70-some-odd% of the funds that are coming in are used for implementing recovery strategies in our community. Okay, so the property is not in a flood zone, friends. I want to address that. It is actually, the flood zone stops at the alleyway, from what I understand, according to the information we got from the department. we have a team member that deals with that. I am not knowledgeable in those things. So I did hear Jason mention that it flooded one time. The reason this property is so ideal, we have a year-long business plan pilot program. It's very, very important that people understand that in a year we can have outcomes. And what comes with outcomes? More funding. We have to have numbers to present, and we have to see the success rate of the program. We will not house more than 8 women. We will start with 3 or 4. We will not fill to capacity in the beginning. Most of these women will be mothers. They will be already in recovery. Someone mentioned they are not just incarcerated populations or justice-impacted individuals. They are people who have graduated treatment programs. Securing beds for someone, and I wish that I could almost role play a scenario of someone who needs a different level of care than we are able to provide. I am professionally trained in helping someone find the right level of care. This property is ideal. It was zoned as commercial. It's actually more of a residential setting. It has bedrooms and a kitchen, and it is a beautiful and ideal location for us to come together as a community. As far as programming is concerned, we have a very extensive level of programming. Honestly, most of the time, we'll be there sleeping. If they're working schedules, they can only work daytime. They have to be home by 5:30 for dinner as a family. They have programming until about 9 p.m., and then they have to be in bed by 10, so they can get up for work. If anyone has ever been to a recovery residence, you know that those things are enforced very strictly. Lifehouse alleviates a lot of the problems that were addressed or brought to the board. I think that it's so important to understand this alleviates unhoused people. If a woman comes out of incarceration and doesn't have anywhere to go, she's going to go where she's always gone, or she's going to be homeless. If she has a safe place to go, she's going to have the tools necessary to rebuild her life. Relapse is very common without adequate support. Relapse in people who go to recovery residences is much lower than people who do not. Actually, evidence shows that people who go to recovery residences experience lower recidivism, they experience higher employment rates, they have stronger family reunification, and of course, less risk of relapse of those who try to recover alone. So I think it's important to understand we need to start small because we don't want to be impulsive. We want to be smart, and we want to help people adequately. We don't want to half-ass this. I think it's so important to understand that we have been strategic every step of the way. And the collaboration that we've gotten from nursing directors of treatment facilities, from people who serve as supervisors in recovery community organizations in different communities, every one of our team members, and it's a big team. A lot of people have been saying Kelly's program. This is definitely not Kelly's program. This is a group of really passionate people who are trained and skilled to help people in Washington County recover and also become productive members of our society. I want to address too that we were not offered a property. I was never given a specific property. There was a comment made that there had to be other properties or there was the possibility of other properties. I want to say that we never denied anyone any information. I was never specifically asked for anything. I provided Mr. Allen with information that I thought he would benefit from, but I was never asked for any specific information. Men are not allowed on the property. This is a women's facility. Our pilot program is a women's facility. Men are not allowed. We have a surveillance system. We have technical support to make sure. We have a team member who is trained to provide technical support and able to install security systems. It's no different than any other business on that street. Anybody can be broken into. Anybody can show up at your property that you don't want. We have the same access to intervention that any of those other businesses have. I think that this community is going to be blessed by this program. I believe it wholeheartedly. It's going to grow, and it's going to be a great thing, and people's lives are going to be changed by it. I'm done. We can go
All right, I'll go back through the criteria, just, we've had a pretty long session of public comment. So I'll go back through the criteria both from our zoning ordinance and from Indiana code. And then obviously feel free to deliberate amongst yourselves, ask questions of the applicant as you see fit as well. I'll jump into the criteria in the zoning ordinance for a use variance. Is that it's not a part of it. The criteria for a use variance under the zoning ordinance is that it must not be contrary to the public interest. The need must be due to conditions peculiar to the property and not the result of actions of the applicant. And it must be that literal enforcement of the zoning ordinance would result in unnecessary and undue hardship. The 5 criteria that are set forth in the Indiana Code are first, that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The second is that the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The third criteria is that the need for the variance arises from some condition peculiar to the property involved. The fourth criteria is that strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought. And lastly, the fifth criteria is that the approval does not interfere substantially with the city's comprehensive plan. The board must make a determination in the affirmative on all 5 of those criteria in order to grant the use variance that is being sought. So with that, feel free to deliberate amongst yourselves and ask questions as you desire of the applicant.
Current property zoned is what?
It is the Central Business District. Let me pull up yes, it's Central Business District. If you'd like, I can read a little bit about that from the zoning ordinance. That would be helpful.
Yeah, please.
So under section 156.057, it sets forth the criteria and the regulations for the Central Business District. The Central Business District is intended to protect and improve the Central Business District, which contains many unique and/or historical structures. The district promotes commercial retail uses, as well as housing, offices, government, financial, cultural, and other complementary uses. Because of the downtown's unique character and historical setting, it requires special consideration and treatment. The scale and intensity of development permitted within the Central Business District reflects its importance as an urban center of the community by establishing less restrictive requirements in regard to parking, building setbacks, lot widths, lot depths, lot coverages, and other performance standards which are necessary in other business districts. The following uses are permitted in the Central Business District, subject to all necessary permits and approvals and other applicable requirements. Enclosed amusement arcades, communications facilities, bars and taverns, bed and breakfasts, churches, community centers, cultural facilities, daycare centers, and dwelling units limited to the second floor or above on the public square, dwelling units off the public square, financial institutions, fire stations, police stations, home occupations, cottage industry, professional offices, governmental offices, lodge halls, restaurants, retail sales and enclosed buildings, barber shops, beauty parlors, parking garages, business service, personal service, enclosed recreation centers, drugstores, indoor theaters, photography studios, and tailoring and garment production. I can go on a little further if you'd like, but that's I think the core of it.
The gist of it, yes.
for the board members, I would encourage that if you're,
We gotta talk.
yeah, you need to talk to the room and into the microphone for the record.
So on the facility, are you gonna have like a buzz system to be able to go in and out?
A bus system?
Like at the women's shelter, they have to push a button to buzz in.
Oh, a bus
So,
system.
yeah.
So yes, our doors would be locked. We have a security system too, so our girls aren't free to leave when they want. They're just gonna be sat there, supervision 24/7.
You said the maximum females, it would be 8.
On the diagram that I handed to you, the 4 beds are single beds, the room next to it with 2 beds would be bunk beds.
And let me say too about that, so 12 was the idea, but according to our lease agreement, Jason requested that we don't go past 8, and we agreed to that term. So that was a preliminary furniture plan drawn up by our architectural team, and I just want to say that if it says bunk beds, that's why. That was really early before we had the lease, so it is 8 total at max.
And your residents that you're planning on having and stuff, are they coming from this community and not from, let's say, Harrison County or wherever?
So I want to say, I work in the Scott County Jail, and a team of women that work with Lifehouse, actually a few of them sit on the board, work in the Washington County Jail for ministry. So my career, my job working inside the Scott County Jail, there's not recovery residences there. So I've not eliminated the idea that we would bring in women who came out of incarceration from Scott County. And I don't believe Harrison County would use us because they have so much. I
I was
Genesis.
just using them as an example.
Yeah. So I would say most of our residents would be Washington County, but it is very likely that as someone who works in the Scott County Jail, if we needed, because it's 20 miles, it would be closer than, say, Grace Haven and Paoli. We wouldn't be opposed to accepting someone from that area. Someone who's been incarcerated, who has been without substance use for a length of time, which is an eligibility criteria of our program.
It's kind of like a women's shelter without the Alzheimer's too. I get some of the concerns too, but they have the food bank too, that people go to, like the homeless and everyone else.
Chuck, you have any insight on this?
Well, yeah, has this all been submitted to the state far as the fire marshal? Has he overlooked all your plans and your drawings and everything?
So, could I ask Mike to speak? He's our architectural engineer, and can you repeat that? Have we talked to the fire marshal?
I think preliminarily we have, but we're not done with the construction documents, they're just finishing up.
Right.
But I think.
We can't send them to the state until the variance is
Right,
passed. Okay.
right. We wouldn't submit to the state permit until then, but
Right.
we have talked to the local.
Right. Okay.
Is there any other discussion?
And you said you're gonna have somebody on site 24/7 to kind of oversee them.
Yes.
One note, and this is for you all as well as the audience, because we have just 3 members tonight, it'll take a vote of all 3 members to carry any motion.
Any other discussion?
I don't think of anything. It looks like everything's covered and the crowd has shown there's a need for it tonight, so. Do you guys feel like that does it feel like it's a fit to you?
Absolutely.
I believe so.
So on that note, I'm gonna make a motion to approve 2025-14.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 The motion carries.
Does that mean that they have, if you get something written that says that you have met all 5 of those things that we read off? That it meets all of those and it doesn't become contradictory to any of that? Because I'd like to have that in writing, please.
That'll be yes, we'll have that reflected in the minutes that'll be approved at the next meeting.
Should it not have been addressed during this meeting to say, number 1, it has done this, number 2, it has done this?
So what was communicated to the board is that in order to approve it, that means that you have considered each of these to be satisfied.
But we will get something in writing stating that all these board members have signed off, that all of these things have been met.
Yes, that will be, we're not going to be mailing that out, but there will be minutes, written minutes that will reflect that, each of the criteria have been met to satisfy the ordinance. And the record of that meeting is also available online. All right, can anybody find Anthony? Is he asleep in the hallway?
I think you left.
Okay. Did he?
Close the meeting.
Well, I think we probably have minutes to approve. We probably have minutes to approve from the prior meeting.
That's what I was thinking.
Hey, Ronnie. Do we have minutes to approve? Do we have minutes to approve from the last meeting? And we're also trying to, then we found our chair. Just for everyone, we have other business to complete, so. Well, if you would like to converse, if you could do so in the hallway or outside the building, thank you. I believe so. I don't have a paper copy of them here. Gina may have them.
Gina. The minutes to last meeting.
Do we have minutes to approve from the last meeting? Okay. Well, we can do them at the next meeting, but all we need now is a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? I don't think you were. I think it was.
You know what? We can roll them to the next meeting.
Well, what's